as per usual. It's always money. There's a statistic that says 60% of marriages worldwide, it doesn't matter who you are, what race you are, where you are in the world, end because of finances. 60% of marriages end because of finances.
60%. That's the number they open with. And it's the reason they give for why their first year of marriage in Thailand was hard. But over the next 20 minutes, what they actually describe is something else entirely. And the gap between the statistic they cited and the isolation they lived through is what this episode is about. Welcome back to Unpacked AM. Today we're looking at a video from Rebel's Way, a couple who moved to Bangkok as newlyweds and are now reflecting on what made their first year of marriage difficult. He's from New York, she's outgoing and candid, and they've built a channel around documenting the reality of their move. The finances, the loneliness, the weight of doing it without a safety net. In this video, they frame the hardest parts of that year around money. Income uncertainty, one partner supporting the other, the stress of bills when work is irregular, and money was part of it. They're clear about that. But what we're going to examine today is the gap between the problem they name at the top of the video and the problem they actually describe when they get specific. Because the thing that made it hard wasn't the money, it was that they were alone.
This is one of the reasons why when we moved to Thailand, we didn't join a whole lot of groups, the black groups and all that. Nothing against y'all and nothing against the creators of those groups. But when people are around different people all the time, it's just in human nature for you to feel like you need to vent.
And now them so much.
And now you're over speaking and over talking. And so keep to yourself. So when we got here, that was one of our main things that we still do it.
This is the decision that shaped everything that follows, and they describe it as protective. A way to keep their marriage private, to avoid venting to the wrong people, to stay out of drama. And there's wisdom in that instinct. Not every friendship is safe, and a new marriage does need boundaries. But listen to what they've also just said. We keep to ourselves. We didn't join groups. We have a little circle we kick it with here and there. What they're describing is near total isolation in a country where they don't speak the language, don't have family, and are navigating the hardest year of a marriage with no one outside of it to carry any of the weight. That's not boundaries. That's removing the safety net entirely. And when they talk later about uncertainty, about one of them being high when the other is low, about needing each other for those couple of days, that's what happens when there's no one else in the room. The load doesn't get lighter. It just gets shared between two people who are already at capacity. Money is easy to name. Isolation is harder to admit. But isolation is what they chose, and it's what made the year as hard as it was.
And that is something we had to learn here, even with our family being so far away and us being here.
It's worse.
Right. They're really concerned. They really want to know, like, ooh, see, told y'all shouldn't have did that. Da, 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 da. Keep him out. Keep him out, folks. Keep him out. Everything's great. Everything's great.
My in-laws be on my scalp.
Oh, yeah.
My in-laws be on my...
Here's what happens when you move abroad without community, and then close the door on family too. His in-laws are worried, genuinely worried, because their daughter is in another country going through a hard first year of marriage, and they're getting just enough information to be concerned, but not enough to help. And instead of that concern becoming support, it becomes scalp pressure, another thing to manage, another voice saying, maybe you shouldn't have done this. So they pull back further, keep them out. Everything's great. And now the circle is even smaller. It's not just that they don't have community in Thailand. They've also cut the line to the people back home who would have carried some of this if they'd been let in. And you can hear the exhaustion in how he says it. My in-laws be on my scalp. That's not the voice of someone who feels supported. That's someone who feels monitored. And when you're in a hard season, and the people who love you feel like overseers instead of allies, that's not a money problem. That's what it costs to do it alone, and then discover you needed help after all.
But the uncertainty comes into when is it going to happen? We're not the if it's going to happen.
We know it's going to happen. When, it's something like you plant seeds and you plant seeds and you plant seeds, and you're just like watching them like, come on, where's the sprout? Where's the sprout? That's kind of what we're going through now. So we know it's coming.
Yeah.
We know we don't put in too much work for this. We know.
This is what uncertainty feels like when you're carrying it alone. They're working. They're planting seeds. They have faith it's going to happen, but the not knowing when is grinding them down. And here's what community does in a moment like this. It reminds you that the seeds are still in the ground. It tells you what it looked like when they went through it. It carries the hope on the days you can't. But when you've deliberately kept everyone out, when it's just the two of you asking each other, where's the sprout? Where's the sprout? There's no outside voice to say, it's still growing, you're still on track. So the uncertainty doesn't stay practical. It becomes emotional weight, and you can hear it in how she talks later. Some days he's high, I'm low. Some days I'm low, he's high. That's not two people balancing each other out. That's two people taking turns holding the same weight, and when you're both low at the same time, there's no one else to call. That's what they chose when they chose to keep to themselves. And it's why the hard part of their year wasn't the money. It was the fact that they were the only two people in the room when the money didn't come.
Was there any point, because we've only been married for a year, was there any point where you had to think to yourself and be like, damn, did we do the right thing by getting married and moving here?
I'm honest, yes. And then for me, I'm always an overthinker. I always think of the worst thing. And I really have to fight with my mind and really reprogram my mind to be like, you deserve to win.
There it is. Did we do the right thing? Yes, she thought it. And the reason she thought it wasn't because the money didn't come. It was because she was fighting that question alone, in her own head, with no one outside the marriage to remind her of what she'd already survived or what she was building toward. He's positive, she says. He balances her out. But positivity isn't the same as perspective, and when you're both inside the same pressure system, one person's optimism can only do so much. What she needed in that moment wasn't a partner telling her it's going to be okay. She needed a friend who'd been through it, a mentor who could say, this is the part where it feels like that, or even just someone outside the marriage to say out loud, you're not crazy for feeling this way. But she didn't have that, so instead she had to fight with her own mind and reprogram herself every day to believe she deserved to win. That's not resilience. That's what it costs to carry everything yourself. And the fact that they made it through the year doesn't mean the way they did it was sustainable. It means they survived it. Barely.
Okay, so moving abroad with your partner, right? It absolutely accelerates both you guys' learning curve. Okay? So our comfortability is going to make you learn at an uncomfortable rate. Mm-hmm. So for instance, in America, yes, we learn tendencies, but we're comfortable. We have family around. We have all that. Coming here, you know, when you're worried about finances,
He's right. Moving abroad accelerates everything. You learn about your partner faster. You hit the hard conversation sooner. You find out what you're made of under pressure. But here's what he just said without saying it. In America, we had family around. We had all that. Coming here, we didn't. And that's not just context. That's the variable that made the year what it was. The finances were hard, yes. But finances are hard for a lot of newlyweds, and most of them have someone to call when it gets overwhelming. They had each other, and they had faith, and they worked harder than most people would have. But they didn't have community. They didn't have the expat groups they avoided, or the family they kept at arm's length, or the friends who would have said, we went through this too, and here's what helped. And when you take all of that away, and then add financial uncertainty on top, what you get isn't a money problem. It's a pressure cooker. Two people, alone, carrying everything, with no release valve. The fact that they're still together is a testament to how much they love each other. But it's not a model, it's a warning. And the thing they should have said at the top of this video is, not that 60% of marriages end because of finances. It's that we tried to do this alone. And it almost broke us. So let's zoom out. They opened this video with a statistic about money, and they spent 20 minutes describing a year that was hard because of isolation. And the gap between those two things is what this episode has been about. Because they're not lying. The finances were a struggle, but when they talk about what actually made it hard, the uncertainty, the insecurity, the days when they both felt low and had no one else to call, none of that is about money. It's about the fact that they were alone. They chose to keep to themselves to protect the marriage, and in doing so, they removed every buffer that would have made the hard parts bearable. No expat groups, no community. Family kept at a distance because their concern felt like pressure. And when the money was uncertain and the weight was heavy, there was no one in the room but the two of them. That's not a money problem. That's what it costs to do it alone. And the fact that they made it through doesn't mean the way they did it was the right way. It means they survived it. The question they should be asking now is not whether they can keep going like this. It's whether they should. If you're planning a move like this, abroad, as newlyweds, without a safety net, here's what this video should teach you. Isolation is not protection. Boundaries are good. Privacy is good. But when you close the door on everyone outside your marriage, and then add financial uncertainty and a foreign country on top, what you get is not a strong marriage. It's two people carrying everything alone. And that's not sustainable. It's survivable, maybe. But it's not the goal. Thanks for watching Unpacked AM. If this one landed, let us know in the comments, and we'll see you in the next one.